Well, to the UK now, and the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom has confirmed that Uber drivers are workers, not contractors, and should be treated accordingly. For more on this story, let's bring in Jessica Gracie, PhD candidate at the York Law School at the University of York in the United Kingdom. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Holly.
Thank you so much for your time and good morning to you in the UK. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happened here? Can you just give us an overview of what this means?
Yeah, of course. In 2016, Yazine Aslam and James Farrer, along with some other claimants who work or have worked for Uber in the past, they brought a claim against Uber to the UK Employment Tribunal.
Mm,
And the Employment Tribunal held that these drivers were workers rather than independent contractors, as you say.
mm.
And Uber appealed this decision multiple times, all the way up to the Supreme Court, who on Friday agreed with the Employment Tribunal's assessment that these
Mm.
drivers were workers, meaning that they're entitled to things like paid leave, the right to be paid the minimum wage, amongst several other rights.
Wow, it's a huge call, and we know that Uber is a company that goes worldwide. So, what were the five key reasons behind this decision? I guess that they finally came to this decision.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court, as you say, they relied on these five reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
the first was that Uber determined the fare of all of the trips. The drivers have absolutely no control over this.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is that when you sign up to be an Uber driver, you have to sign this standardized written agreement, again, which you have
Mm.
absolutely no control over. Third, Uber actually exercise a significant amount of control over the workers, meaning that their acceptance rate and their cancellation rate of trips is monitored. And if it
Mm.
falls below a certain rate, then they could be penalised. The
Yes.
fourth was that Uber use a rating system
Mm.
to manage their workers. So if a customer, when they're rating their driver, if that rating falls below Uber's expectation, they
Yes.
could be penalised or even terminated from the platform. And the final reason is that Uber manage and restrict the communications between the driver and the passenger. So the driver has very limited information, only knows the passenger's first name rather than their second name, have no
Mm.
contact details whatsoever, meaning that they could not really form a relationship following the end of the trip. So taking these
Yes.
factors together, the court felt that they weren't true entrepreneurs. They were essentially restricted and limited by Uber's rules. So they
Mm.
couldn't be said to be contractors. They were obviously workers.
Yes, yeah. And just going on that other point, I guess, like in Uber's defense, to a certain extent, by the Uber drivers not having full contact details, is, I guess, a side of safety for the passenger and the Uber driver, I guess, as well. But yeah, so they have ruled that they are workers, not contractors. But so what do you think this will mean for Uber drivers, I guess, worldwide? Do you reckon we'll see this have a ripple effect go global?
Potentially. I mean, we're already
Mm,
starting to see claims.
mm,
We've had in the US, just recently, the Supreme Court of Canada. So this could really pave the way for future decisions.
mm.
Um, I think what the Supreme Court have demonstrated is that they're not going to tolerate the misclassification of workers. So I think
Yes.
that's something that's really important going forward. And I mean,
Mm.
Uber drivers now, possibly even in other sectors, like we're seeing develop in the United Kingdom in teaching, tuition, freelancing. I mean, they now have cause to question their own employment status. So we could see this in the wider gig
Yes.
economy as well.
Exactly. And so, as you said there, gig refers to like someone who's doing freelance work. So, what do you think? Will this pave the way for future claims in other industries, I guess?
I think so. I think trade unions are going to be really pushing this going forward. So we could see
Mm,
some huge class actions in the future. But I think they're going to use this decision as a precedent.
mm.
But what's going to be really important going forward is how far this decision actually stretches. So is it going to incorporate these workers? So I think that's something that we're going to see in the next few years.
Yes. So, what can I just ask you? Because you obviously know a lot more about this. What was Uber's response to this decision?
So Uber have made it very clear that they're not really taking this decision lying down.
Mm,
Um, they've already contacted their workers to say this decision only applies to those that have brought this claim. This doesn't apply to current Uber drivers right now. And they're asserting that
Wow.
they've adapted their business model since the start of the claim, and that drivers now have much more control over the way they work. Whether this is true remains unclear, and I think that's probably something that's going to be tested in the courts. Um, but I don't think we've seen the end of this, and I think Uber are going to really try and fight this until the end.
Yeah, exactly. And they're such a huge, huge company as well. We know they've taken over, the multi-billion-dollar taxi industry, and they've done that. So they are very quite ruthless. But I know that you do your own research as well, and obviously you're very knowledgeable about this. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah, of course. So at the moment, I'm completing my PhD, as you say, at the University of York. So I'm actually looking into how the law in employment law and elsewhere is going to respond to this. So I'm looking at Uber drivers, but I'm also looking at this wider gig economy that I referred to before. So looking kind of in the different sectors that this is developing into. So
Mm.
at the minute, I'm conducting interviews with workers in this sector because I think it's really important that we gain the perspective of these workers to see, are they happy with their employment status? Is this something that they want to be want updated, or
Mm.
and do they feel like this reflects the work that they do? So I'm hoping that this research will kind of be a factor or potentially help these claims going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Well, such good advice, and I really love your work and your passion for this. It's a great initiative. So, thank you so much for your time this evening, Jessica, and good morning to
Thank
you
you.
again in the UK.
Thank you very much.
Jessica Gracie there from the University of York in the United Kingdom.